So that way, recording you'll receive via email, and that way you'll be able, if there was a point that you wanted to come back to, you'll be able to listen to that recording again. Well, before we get started with our webinar, I do want to share a little bit about what the Center for Literacy and Learning is. So our mission, we're here to advance literacy and learning through evidence-based practice in the classroom, the home, and the community. Because here's the thing, there's 168 hours in the week, and not all 168 of them are spent in a classroom. So we offer holistic supports across the entire academic year, but also at home and to support families and caregivers. Because our vision is that everyone is empowered through literacy. When we think about our schools, we want to unlock the doors of prosperity. We want to give our students a great future. And I'm here to tell you that really only happens with literacy. A child who learns how to read is a child who's able to teach themselves anything for the rest of their lives. So we're just so happy to have you here. Today, we are going to be talking about early childhood strategies for supporting literacy. And I do want to, just give the quick caveat here. I'm not going to teach your 18-month-old how to read. This will be grounded in developmentally appropriate practice with some specific strategies you can bring back to your homes, you can bring back to your classrooms, as well as some ongoing resources that you can take advantage of. So the overview for today, we have three main objectives. The first, we're going to define the science of reading because, well, it is rocket science. We're going to talk about research and implementation of early literacy best practices. And then finally, we're going to communicate the areas of support offered by the Center for Literacy and Learning. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Miss Lacey is monitoring the chat, and she'll poke me if I need to be answering any questions along the way, but we will have time at the end to answer all of your questions. So feel free to just pop them in there so we can make sure to get those handled. So first of all, what is the science of reading? Well, the science of reading is an interdisciplinary body of scientifically based research about reading and issues related to reading. It isn't just phonics, but it's also not just that best guess. What the science of reading is the evidence of not only how to turn struggling readers into thriving ones, but also how to ensure that every child gets evidence-based practice to improve student outcomes through prevention of and intervention for reading difficulties. And here's the thing about the science of reading that most people don't want to talk about. You and I have all seen what's in the news, what's on the Advocate, what's in NAEP. People are looking at third grade reading scores. And I'm going to tell you a secret. It's just between us here on this webinar. Those third grade reading scores, nobody flipped a switch and they learned how to read in third grade. Actually, the fundamentals of reading start much earlier. They actually begin in early childhood at birth. Because here's the thing, teaching reading is rocket science. It's the most fundamental responsibility of teachers. Gaps in reading are not because some students are dumb or some students are smart, because everybody, when given evidence-based reading instruction, is going to learn the fundamentals. Reading is an established science. It is clear, specific, practical instructional strategies that every teacher should be taught, and every teacher should be taught, supported in using. But here's the thing. We often think that reading is just the letters, that printed word recognition. That, okay, I know a letter makes a sound, and I can sound it out. And I'm here to, share with you, that's not true. Look at the simple view of reading. And this is, vastly simplified from the science of reading and from that interdisciplinary body. But printed word recognition times language comprehension equals reading to gain meaning. And that means that if that language comprehension isn't there, your printed word recognition does you nothing. This is so important to pause on, because I'm going to let you in on another secret. All that language comprehension, the ability to understand spoken language begins at birth. We build language comprehension when we build brains in early childhood. So in order for a child to be able to read to gain meaning, you must start at birth, because the printed word recognition does you no good without language comprehension, and language comprehension is built in early childhood brains. this is going to have a huge impact. Again, we think of, oh yeah, simple view of reading. Yeah, phonemic awareness. We need to do phonics. We need to do letter drills. We need to do flashcards. It's really important to remember that that phonemic awareness is just a tiny part of it. We need to have that fluency. We need to have that oral language. We need to have vocabulary and comprehension. And all of these things are not suddenly built in a day in third grade. All of these things begin in early childhood because that basics of phonemic awareness and phonics, that starts much earlier with visual recognition and visual discrimination. And those things begin in early childhood, a child's ability to look at things and be able to understand, I'm seeing a cat, I'm seeing a dog. They have to use that exact same visual processing system in order to read. And if you haven't yet read Proust and the Squid, please read it. It's super great explanation of this with all those things that come into it. So let's talk about early literacy. And I'm going to tell you right now, early literacy does not mean teaching young children how to read. You are not going to teach your 12-month-old how to read. Your 18-month-old is not going to be reading Proust to you, even though I just recommended Proust and the Squid. But early literacy is actually more important than being able to read it because it's the skills, knowledge, the attitudes that are the developmental precursors to conventional forms of reading and writing. One thing that I think is so important is when we think about early literacy components, we think, oh yeah, it's just one thing. But an important component of this webinar, an important thing of what we're trying to communicate as we host these informational things, is that phonological awareness is insufficient to have true early literacy. You need language, you need print awareness, you need alphabet knowledge. All of those things are combining together to form the components of early literacy. So what does that look like in a classroom? It looks like a lot of things that you might already be doing. And now you have the tools to be able to broaden what you're doing to encompass those components of early literacy. So your read alouds, but also holding a book and having that conversation. This is the front of the book, this is the back of the book. Let's turn the pages together. Asking questions is part of comprehension. Talking, writing, singing songs, drawing, scribbling, and so much more. These are all early literacy skills that you see within a literacy-rich environment. So let's go ahead and let's dive a little bit deeper into this concept. I'd like to introduce a concept called Scarborough's reading rope. And essentially with Scarborough's reading rope, there are multiple skills that get braided together, and those skills become increasingly automatic, and they result in a fluent reader. But here's the catch. When one of the strands of that rope is weak, the entire rope is weak. And I'm going to tell you another thing. None of these strands are braided together all at once in third grade. Much of language comprehension begins in early childhood. Background knowledge, vocabulary, understanding how our language is structured, understanding, verbal reasoning, being able to infer when your teacher says, "Oop, walking feet," that, "Oh, I was running, I better stop that." But also things like literacy knowledge, print concepts, genres, things like that, being able to understand what's a story versus what's someone telling you their story. All of these things are beginning in early childhood. It's not happening in elementary school. It's really happening in our early learning centers. So thinking specifically around background knowledge, this is a critical component of early literacy because with background knowledge, we're building concepts through language. What we see in the research over and over is that studies have found that the more a student knows about a specific topic, the easier it is for them to comprehend and retain the information that's presented. When we have background knowledge, we're more interested in the content. Learning is more meaningful, which in turn makes it easier. And honestly, it's just more fun because they're building connections between content. We're boosting intrinsic motivation. And I know what everybody's thinking right now. Ding, ding, ding. I see the antennas going off. Everyone's thinking about instructional support in the class, right? That's what we're all thinking about because, oh yeah, this is concept development. Oh yeah, that is kind of quality of feedback. Oh yeah, that is part of language modeling. We're all thinking that. I'm going to let you in on a little secret right now. There are 1,022 sites statewide that are scoring excellent in emotional support on the class. That's 57%. Do you know what it is for instructional support statewide in the most recent performance profiles? Less than 1%. 0.0078% of sites, only 14 statewide, scored excellent in instructional support. Building background knowledge is an essential component of that. What we're talking about right now are the things you need to know in order to build your instructional support scores. There are 0 networks in the entire state for the most recent performance profiles that were excellent in instructional support. Listen in close because we want you to get there. We want to see this. And even when we think about toddlers, when we look at engaged support for learning, 0 networks were excellent in that. And only 15 sites for toddlers were excellent in engaged support for learning. By comparison, there were 528 excellent sites for emotional and behavioral support. This background knowledge, what we're talking about with Scarborough's reading rope, these things are essential if you want to raise those scores for your performance profile. Background knowledge is incredibly key to reading comprehension because what we find is the amount of knowledge and vocabulary that you have is going to make you a more fluent reader and is going to help you process the information. It's just essential for proficiency and comprehension. When we have a gap in knowledge, what ends up? A gap in achievement. And I think we're all seeing that right now. We're looking at our performance profiles and it's like, yeah, my sites are proficient, high proficient, but we're not really where we need to be for instructional support. And then we're seeing it in our kindergarten entry assessments. We're seeing it in our students' literacy outcomes when they come to kindergarten. So it's so important what we're talking about here with Scarborough's reading rope. And I just really want to bring that home. The next thing that I want to talk about, again, as part of that instructional support is language, because we build vocabulary when we build language development. And it's important to know what are those milestones. By 3 months, you should hear children producing sounds, cooing, gurgling, and by 6 months, that should turn into babbles that are often back and forth. It's kind of like playing ping pong or hacky sack. I'm going to say something to you, they're going to babble back, I'm going to respond there, they're going to babble back, and you have that serve and return. That serve and return is an essential pre-literacy component. By 4 years, that child should have 2,000 words and be able to make sentences of 5 words or more. Your 5-year-old should be able to create longer sentences and even identify some letters. Oh yeah, cat, that's a C. You should have all those things. Those are essential. But how do we build that vocabulary? Well, first of all, we should know, why are we building this vocabulary? Because it's essential for our children to be ready for school. A toddler's vocabulary growth between the ages of 15 to 36 months is associated with the development of their executive function skills and their executive function capacity at age 5. If we want kids in kindergarten who can pay attention and get along and follow instructions, we have to start in early childhood. There's no switch that flips in elementary school. We have to start younger than we currently are. So how do we develop this language? How do we increase that language modeling component? First of all, behavioral narration. I know I hated it when my master teacher made me do it at first. It felt so awkward and it works so well. Provide words to express a child's feelings. You see someone having a tantrum? Great, let's describe it. Your arms are going like this, face is going like this. Are you feeling such and such? You want to build on a child's language. If they say milk, oh, let's build on it. Oh, you wanted some milk? I'd be happy to get you some. This milk is white, but the milk we had yesterday was brown. Was that because that was chocolate milk? Build on their language. Give directions based on a child's age. I'm going to tell you right now, it is very difficult for little kids to understand additional modifiers. So when you say, don't run, I'm sorry, at least for the kids that I've worked with, all they heard was run. Anytime I said, don't do something, they went right ahead and did just that. Oftentimes you have to give some pretty explicit directions. Walk like this. See how my body's moving? Mirror my body. I'll often have a child, I'll say, match my voice, and then I'll do it and I'll ask them to do it with me. They're little, they're still learning. You gotta scaffold that. Provide names for new objects. Oh, you're pointing. Are you pointing because you see a bird? Yeah, that's a different bird than we usually see. That one's an egret. Look at his beautiful white feathers. You also want to provide a language-rich classroom. So this can look like, of course, having materials that invite conversation and encourage sharing. But this also can look like, as a teacher, putting things on the wall that remind you how to have these discussions with kids. Provide your self-sentence stems. And then encourage children to initiate conversation. Be that adult who's a safe place for a child so they can come talk to you about what's going on. Some other ways for building vocabulary. If you know me, you know I am the labeling queen. I love to label everything. There's a picture and there's a label. There, oh, you're sitting at that chair? You're going to have a label on that chair and a picture of your face. Oh, you're standing here in the line? Guess what? The line's going to have your name and it's going to have a picture of your face. But also include environmental print around the classroom. There's nothing wrong with labeling the light switch, light switch. There's nothing wrong with labeling that the blocks go here. Discuss and relate new words to words they already have in their vocabulary. If they're building something with blocks, it's not just a house, it's a tower, it's a skyscraper, it's an office park. It can be a lot of things. And group those common word meanings. I love to see teachers, discussing, okay, we're talking about this cooking thing. Let's group some other cooking things here. Have discussions rich in new vocabulary. Spoiler alert, you want to have some books. You want to have books because the book language that we have is going to be so much richer than our oral language and provide additional vocabulary elements. And let children see you discover new words. Get excited about seeing new words. Get excited to learn the meanings of new words because that excitement is contagious. More is caught than is taught. So some examples, again, we're all looking to increase those instructional support scores. We're all looking at language modeling. How do we build an environment that supports us to do just that? First of all, let's have a library nook with illustrated books. And the books don't have to be fancy. You can go to Goodwill, you can get the salvage from the library. I also print out a lot of my books. I have pictures with the kids and I have very short, simple stories that go with them. You'll want a dramatic play center with items that include things like menus and cookbooks. Our centers with the toys, one of the most important toys is that literacy material that goes with it. You want a writing center with writing examples of words and a variety of writing tools. It can look however it needs to look, whether you have the palm crayons for your little ones, or if you have the alphabet magnets and you're able to rearrange them and play with letters that way. You can have a block center with environmental print, a music center with labeled instruments, as well as songs, and so much more. And then again, when we think about literacy knowledge, that's part of Scarborough's reading rope and also part of what we develop in early childhood. And how we build it is, first of all, exposure to print. We want to be able to see print in the classroom, to touch print in the classroom, to hear people reading from print. And in some early childhood classrooms, there are some books that have been eaten and you taste print. That does happen. You got to have the tough books to handle the infant room. You'll want to retell stories. A lot of people give the example of things like a developmental storybook, but the more that you're retelling a story and giving the opportunity for a child to build that literacy knowledge, beginning, middle, end, they're really getting more and more out of it. Ask questions based on the pictures in the books. Ooh, I wonder what's going to happen next. Oh my goodness, if that happened, I would be scared. How would you feel? Track as you read aloud. You can use your finger. You can encourage kids to watch you, and then share the book readings. Share a love of literacy. The more that we can encourage our children to view literacy as a wonderful thing, not as a checklist, not as a compliance thing, but as part of what makes us a caring community, the better off our kids are going to be. And then the other thing that's important to utilize are, of course, our early learning and development standards. Louisiana has recently revamped them. And it's important to know that even before children enter school, they're starting to build literacy knowledge. And so our early learning and development standards here in Louisiana look at that print awareness, that alphabetic knowledge, that phonic knowledge, awareness and language. And you can look at the indicators on the early learning and development standards to see what should be happening 0 to 9 months, what should be happening 9 to 18 months, and to be able to understand what's going on in my classroom or what should be going on in my classroom. So I do want to take a moment here to talk a little bit about some educator support that we offer. We are really excited to be able to share some things here. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce the wonderful Miranda Gremion. Miranda, if you can just share a little bit about yourself and your role here at the center.
Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome everyone. And thank you for being here. My name is Miranda Grimion. I'm a literacy engagement specialist here with the center, and I work with our family and community initiatives. And I want to tell you about one of our wonderful programs that I'm proud of and very excited about. So we could go ahead and move on.
Oh, sorry, hold on.
That's okay.
Give me just a sec. I'm not sure why the slide isn't advancing, but give me 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Is it advancing for you now?
Not yet.
Okay, give me a sec. How about now? Can you see it now?
Okay, we're ready. Yeah, I can see it now.
Perfect.
All right. So one of our programs that we are so excited about is our Louisiana Reads program. So to address the need for stronger family literacy engagement, the Center for Literacy and Learning developed Louisiana Reads. We know that family engagement is so important. We know that research show that when we partner, engage, and interact with families, our children do so much better academically. The goal of Louisiana Reads is to empower families with the knowledge, confidence, resources, and literature they need to support their children's learning at home. Through partnerships with early learning centers, schools, libraries, and community organizations, Louisiana Reads has reached families across Louisiana and beyond. Recently, we just completed a pilot where we were serving over 30 schools. So, schools are definitely, and early learning centers are definitely seeing the benefit of family engagement and how the families want to be involved. To learn more about Louisiana Reads, there's a QR code on the top of the slide. A one pager is available for you to explore our program models and digital resources. And I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about our program models and digital resources on the next slide. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to go ahead and scan that QR code. And I'm going to put a link in the chat as well. Okay. All right, so hopefully you were able to click on that link and pull up the one pager so you can follow along or scan the QR code. So at the center, we bridge the gap between classroom instruction and at-home learning by providing engaging, evidence-based literacy resources for our families. Our fee-for-service program offers flexible models designed to promote family literacy engagement. Our first model is our in-person book distributions, where we come out to partner with a event that you've already planned. We distribute high quality books that help to build our children's at-home libraries and also talk to parents about the importance of read alouds at home. Our second model is our virtual parent workshop, which we are titling our Growing Reading Brains Parent Edition workshops. These are interactive workshop series covering early childhood skills, like Farishay was talking about, having our kids reading at third grade. So these are those foundational skills that are so critically important. Some of our topics include creating a literacy rich home environment, fostering language development, the power of read alouds, and so much more. So, families have an opportunity to hear about the different literacy strategies in real time, share their reflections in a supportive space, ask questions. We've seen parents have so many aha moments. What we found is that families want to support their children at home with literacy, but they just don't know what to do, what's developmentally appropriate. And we're here to give them the what, the why, and the how. Our third model is our book distribution plus parent workshop. So that's when we come out and we combine a book distribution with an in person workshop for a powerful hands on literacy event. And our fourth model is our professional development for educators. Our family literacy engagement professional development equips educators with the why and how of involving families in literacy. Participants receive actionable strategies to build strong school home literacy partnerships. A lot of our research comes from Dr. Karen Mapp's dual capacity framework. And in this framework, one challenge that stood out to us is that educators don't really get a lot of training on effective family engagement. So we're here to build educators' capacity around what effective family engagement looks like. Now, with all of our models, participants also gain access to our free digital resources that's on that one pager, which includes our Louisiana Reads mobile app, and this mobile app was designed with families in mind. Some of the features include our story time, where if families don't have time because we know life happens to read stories or they're in the car on the way to for carpool, they can give their child their phone or an iPad where we have a collection of read alouds that's read by our staff members here at the center, along with some local community members. We also have a Read With Me feature where we demonstrate key literacy skills during a read aloud. So we actually break down what families should be doing during read alouds. And also our parent portal, which is a video library of tips to support literacy at home. And the parent portal can be used as an extension to any of our parent workshops as well. And lastly, we offer our Literacy Lightbulb texting service, which delivers easy, research based literacy tips and activities tailored from early childhood through high school straight to your parents' phone. So even if they have multiple kids in the house, they could subscribe to early childhood, middle, high school, and they'll get easy literacy activities straight to their phone on the 15th of every month. So, if you would like additional information or you're interested in exploring a potential partnership, or you want to discuss how you could possibly use your CLSD funding to support family literacy engagement, please contact us. You can send us an email at learn@mycll.org. We'd love the opportunity to collaborate with you and support your family engagement efforts. And this email address again will be given at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miranda. I really appreciate it. And just as someone who uses the Louisiana Reads app, I just think that you guys are doing terrific stuff there. I really appreciate all that you do. And so, what are some early childhood program supports that we can provide for you? So, we have a couple of different things when it comes to early childhood services, from coaching to professional development to also a CDA program. So, just to share a little bit more information, our CDA program is currently accepting applications now online, mycll.org/cornerstones. We're a national CDA, BESI approved early childhood ancillary certification program. It's 100% virtual with 5 months of coursework. And if you are working in a type 3 center as a lead teacher, then you have an opportunity for Pathway Scholarship. So this is incredible support to work directly with our coaches for free to get great information. So really would encourage, if you know anybody who's interested in getting their CDA, We're working with exceptional coaches here at the center. Please, please, please apply to Cornerstone. Please submit your applications soon. We will be closing applications before the end of this month. We also offer early childhood training and coaching. This can look like a professional development, specifically on things like the early learning and development standards, on how to plan your instruction so that you're thinking through those components of instructional support. We are here to both provide that PD as well as to coach. And through working with our specialists, we want to empower your educators so that they have the knowledge and they have the skills to ensure that children enter kindergarten ready to learn. We have additional programs too, outside of our early childhood and family engagement work. We have our literacy coach program, Lit Academy. And then a lot of people also love our science of reading learning academies, like Growing Reading Brains, where you can have your early childhood teachers over a course of several weeks really learn what it is that you need to be doing to grow those reading brains and also to grow that instructional support component of their work. So we would love, love, love if you would reach out. Our website is mycll.org. Our phone is 833-792-1874, and our email is learn@mycll.org. You can reach out via any of these ways. I'm Farrah Shea Perkins. If you have early childhood specific questions, my colleague Miranda Gremion and her family engagement team are also available for support there. But I would love right now, it's about 10:31. I would love if we could see if there are any questions or things like that where we could help anyone out. Lacey, are you able to see the Q&A chat?
Yes, there are no questions at this time.
Okay. Well, if there are no questions at this time, I will go ahead and stop the recording and give people their time back. But thank you so much for your time, for your participation, and for your interest in getting all of our kids ready for kindergarten. We really do believe that everyone is empowered through literacy, and we want to see our schools and our teachers and our sites have the tools that they need to make this happen for kids. So thank you for everything you do, and if I can ever be of any support to you personally, please don't hesitate to reach out. I really appreciate y'all. Thanks, everybody.